Greetings, seekers of knowledge, and welcome to another episode of Embracing the Paradox, home of the deranged, the supernatural, and all things that go bump in the night. True crime, urban lore, we have it all for you right here. I, of course, am Marrow, your trusty guide into parts unknown, and I'm asking you once again to let me take you on a journey. If this is your first time visiting and you'd like to support the show, please make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Today, I'm particularly excited to dig deep with you seekers, as this is the first episode of Embracing the Paradox to focus on a woman serial killer. Her name was Belle Gunness. Born in 1859 in a small town in rural Norway, where the land was rocky, the winters were long, and survival required silence more than strength. Children learned early not to waste food, not to waste breath, and not to expect mercy. Belle grew up in a crowded house where bodies were close and warmth was only shared when necessary. Hunger was common, hard labor was constant. People learned what happened when you became a burden. When she was 18, Belle was pregnant and working as a servant for a wealthy family, when, during a confrontation, one of the men allegedly kicked her in the stomach, a blow that brought the end to her pregnancy, but not an end to her aggressor's life. He paid a fine, he went home. Belle carried the injury, and she carried the understanding that pain could be absorbed quietly and forgotten by everyone else. Not long after the altercation, Belle left Norway behind for America. Those who knew her later claiming that she seemed heavier, slower, as if something inside of her had settled into a permanent shape. In Chicago, Belle married Mads Sorensen. Their life together was modest. They ran small businesses. Each one mysteriously burned down. Each time, the fire came at night. Each time, the insurance money arrived. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Sorensen passed away. Supposedly a healthy man beforehand, Sorensen's heart stopped suddenly and he collapsed before being pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Doctors signed the papers. Belle did not argue. She collected the money. Over the years, children in Belle's care developed a habit for illness. Some died suddenly, small bodies stilled by ailments that never fully made sense. Each death was brief, each explanation was accepted, and so the cycle continued. In 1902, Belle married again, Peter Gunness. He was strong, broad-shouldered, healthy, not unlike Belle's previous husband. But a mere 8 months later, he too was dead. Belle claimed that a meat grinder had fallen from a shelf and crushed his skull. Police questioned it, but Belle was a charmer. Pregnant and crying, the room softened around her, and the case was dismissed. The insurance was paid. By then, death followed Belle like a shadow that never quite touched her. She moved to LaPorte, Indiana, and bought a farm with a house that sat solidly on the land. The soil was dark and rich, the kind that held moisture, the kind that took impressions easily. Belle placed advertisements in newspapers. She described herself as a widow with means. She spoke of marriage, of comfort, of building something lasting. Naturally, men responded in abundance. They arrived by train carrying suitcases that clinked faintly with the sound of coins and savings books. Belle met them herself. She shook their hands, she smiled, she brought them inside. Neighbors noticed how often the sound of footsteps appeared and how rarely it left. Belle told people the men had gone home or lost interest or moved on. Her voice was steady, her explanations were neat. Behind the house, the ground was turned often, too often. In April of 1908, the farmhouse burned down. The fire lit the night sky and drew the neighbors out of their beds. Inside the ruins, investigators found the bodies of Belle's children. Nearby, they found a headless adult female corpse, believing this at first to be Belle Gunness's corpse. Then the details began to resist. The body was too small, the weight was wrong, the teeth did not match, and the land was searched. The truth surfaced slowly, like something long submerged. Bodies buried across the farm, wrapped carefully, dismembered with purpose. The soil gave them back reluctantly. At least 14 victims were confirmed, with some believing it to be many more. Belle Gunness was gone. The prevailing theory is that Belle staged her own death, killed another woman, placed her body in the fire, and walked away, while the town mourned the wrong person. Sightings followed. Years passed. Nothing was proven, no arrest was made, no justice arrived. Belle Gunness simply slipped into history without punishment. She did not stalk alleyways, she did not break into homes. She offered meals, marriage, a place to rest. And when men crossed into her threshold believing they were safe, they vanished into the land she owned. Belle Gunness remains one of the most prolific serial killers in American history, not because she looked dangerous, but because she looked familiar. And because sometimes the ground beneath your feet is already waiting. So what do you think? Do you think that Belle passed away in an accidental fire? Or do you think she managed to slip away as a ghost to the world, potentially carrying on undetected? As always, let us know in the comments below. And now for my favorite part of the show. We are going to take live calls from our premium listeners to hear your theories and feedback. First up, we have Guyberius85. Hello, Guyberius. You're on live with Embracing the Paradox.
Hi, Distal Marrow. First-time caller, long-time listener. I love the show.
Well, thank you so much for calling.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm really struck by this case because it seems to me that in a lot of the female serial killer cases that I've read about, there's a financial motivation, but even they're very difficult to track. Do you think that there are female serial killers out there who kill the way that male serial killers do and they're just flying even further under the radar and that's why we're not hearing about them?
Yes. I mean, one comes to mind, like the angel of death nurse that was just killing her patients for the fun of it.
And do you think that there's going to be a time that we start to run into more of them, that there's going to be advances in crime-solving technology that's going to cause more of them to come to the surface? What's your perspective on that?
I mean, perhaps, in the name of equality, women do need to bump those numbers up, so.
Do you suppose that there's any of the unsolved cases out there that maybe that's the reason that they haven't caught them yet, is that they're looking in the wrong place?
Maybe. I've heard a theory that the men who disappeared because they went out for a smoke sometimes actually got buried in the backyard. So there might be some of these cases out there that. Well, anyway, thank you so much for calling. That was very interesting.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too. Okay, and our next caller is Power Master 67. Well, hello, Power Master. Thank you for calling.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. What do you think about the change in how she killed? It seems like the first one was probably poison, the second one dropping something on someone, and then what kind of damage was done to these corpses that were in the backyard?
Oh, I actually didn't look into that, but that would be an interesting query. But yeah, it did seem like her anger seemed to escalate as the years went by.
Especially since the first ones, you got to assume that they hit her and that she was justified, or she, in her mind at least. And then as it got on, do you think she just started enjoying it and just...
It seemed like, because some of those corpses towards the end, she wasn't getting any money for those, even perhaps. I guess maybe she was stealing from the men, but not like insurance payout. Maybe she was, yeah.
That's the most surprising thing, is that it ends without anyone coming forward to claim the insurance. You would have thought if she had killed, or that if she actually died, she would have had some kind of co-conspirator come forward to try to claim the insurance.
You're right. I guess she just really wanted to see that farmhouse go up in flames.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for calling. Okay, and for our next caller, we have B Anonymous. Hello, Be Anonymous. Welcome to Embracing the Paradox. Hello?
Hello, Distal Marrow. I know what you're doing.
You do.
I do. And you're doing it well. I must commend you. But I know what you are. I know that you're a phony.
A phony?
A phony. A concept. A construct. Created by something or someone else. You're not even distal Marrow, are you?
Of course I am. This is my show.
Is it now? That is fascinating to me. We know that you're a phony. We know that you're not distal Marrow. And one day that truth will come out. And until then, I wonder if you'll have the nerve, the audacity, the sheer will to post this and let the audience start to question you for themselves.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to let you go, be anonymous, but thank you so much for supporting the show. Okay, well, thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope to see you next week for our next mysterious tale. Bye!